Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Gun Cranks. I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Weed, along with Tom McHale, the editor of American Handgunner, and Eric Gelhaus. He is the editor of AmericanCop.com, and he's taking time out from his important day at Gunsight Academy to sit down with the Gun Cranks. So, hello, gentlemen. How's it going?
Hello. Is there anything better you could be doing, right?
Well,
highlight of your day right here.
I am here at the palatial gatehouse at the entrance to Gunsight. So yes, nothing better.
Well, the gatehouse is getting replaced because palatial is not the word I would use to describe it. It's adequate at best. But
we have a black mold collection. We have critters that come through the place on occasion, right? It leaks regardless of the weather conditions. It's difficult to ask for more.
That's something when it's not raining and it's leaking, that's wow. Well, our topic today, we're kind of doing this off the cuff, live, direct to tape, with no editing, because we wanted to talk about something that we're all felons today.
Time sensitive.
Yeah. We'll talk about that I guess you already know if you've looked up the episode. We those of us that have pistol braces are now criminals. But first, Tom McHale, check this out. You know what that is?
That is a nuclear suitcase.
It does kind of look like.
You have the codes?
Yes, I do. There's a little button on there. No, it's a Patriot Power Sidekick solar generator, and I got one now. So I'm really special.
Well, you're not as special as you think, because I'm also experimenting with one of those. It's upstairs solar generating as we speak.
Ah, okay. Well, I've got mine fully.
The sun has been harnessed.
I should have tried that, but I plugged mine into the wall. So it shocked me how quickly it got that thing up to speed. And it's like 299 watts. So, it's probably not going to run your central air in the house, but I bet a laptop would go for a long time, and your phone would probably go until the iPhone 29 comes out. So pretty cool thing. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm still figuring stuff out, but you can plug your phone straight into the solar panel. It's a little fold up solar panel kit. It's like this big and it folds out, and you can plug your phone and devices right into that thing and power it indefinitely.
Just happen to have mine right here.
There you go. So cool.
See, stuff. I'm prepared, Tom. I'm not going to open it, but it's a nice size solar panel. So anyway,
the timing is great, though. Seriously,
it is.
Because
it's hurricane season for you guys, right?
Today is the first day of hurricane season, and do you know what? There's already a system out there with a 50% chance of developing into a hurricane. Because I live in the hurricane magnet of the world. Did you ever see National Treasure?
Yes.
See, what happened in Charleston back then is the founding fathers buried a giant magnet under the city of Charleston, and it attracts hurricanes. So we are the hurricane center of the universe, I believe.
Crazy. Well, you can get your own Patriot Power Sidekick solar generator by going to 4patriots.com and using the code, what is it, Gun Cranks?
Gun Cranks. So. All
Gun
one
Cranks.
word.
And 4Patriots is the number 4. Patriots.com. So 4patriots.com, use the code GUNCRANKS. You get 10% off your first purchase. So cool beans there. Be ready for hurricane season, or just make sure that you can look at TikTok if you're stranded out in the wilderness. So anyway, well, let's move along to our topic du jour. That's a fancy French word meaning surrender. The topic du jour is pistol braces. And as we pointed out, we're all criminals now. But Tom McHale is the subject matter expert because, frankly, I don't know that much about it. And Eric is just eating a sandwich. So, Tom, enlighten us. What in the hell is going on?
First of all, you guys are criminals. I am not, because I do not own any guns. They scare me. So,
and they were all lost in a boat.
I do not have any guns, so no need to come banging on my door. Anyone out there listening won't find any. So, no, but seriously, today's an awful day for a whole lot of reasons. You haven't been following it. The ATF is basically back in January. They created a new rule. I'm putting air quotes on rule because it's really much more like a law, which they cannot do. It is very unconstitutional and I would say illegal, but we'll come back to that. They created a new rule that pistol braces are basically done, gone, illegal. Makes a short-barreled rifle, so you can't have it anymore. And we'll go into all the details on this. But the long story short, these rules have to sit in jail for a period of time. I think it was 120 days on this one. So as of 12:01 a.m. today, June 1, anybody who possesses one of these rubber plastic devices is now a federal felon, subject to up to $250,000 in fines and 10 years in federal prison. How's that grab you for a happy day?
On an administrative rule violation.
On an administrative rule violation that apparently in our convoluted system now is carrying the full weight of law. Now, the funny thing is Congress didn't have a lick to do with this. They're still tinkering around with, I think, a House Act 44, number 44, as I recall, that basically puts the kibosh on that. But that's not in effect. They haven't even voted on it yet. So it is in effect today.
Awful. Just simply awful. And what happened to that whole grandfather concept? Eric, you were talking about that before we got started.
Yeah. The biggest problem I have with this is we're going down a road where things are legal and then all of a sudden they're not anymore. And as Tom pointed out, it wasn't even passed by legislation. It was just, we decided that's it. How in good conscience do you ask your cops to deal with anything like that, right? Where it's just, we just decided tomorrow that it's no longer legal. We can argue the grandfather clauses going back. However, at least they were going, okay, when you bought it, when you shelled out the money for this, whatever it was that you thought was legal because it was legal at the time. We're not going
to ATF.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm just saying whatever governmental entity. Now we're going to go back ex post facto these laws and change them. And in addition to the administrative rulemaking that's not actually legislated on, right, it's also the ex post facto, the after the fact issues that I have some significant concerns on. Yeah.
It sounds and smells a lot like a concept in the Constitution called Bills of Attainder. All you constitutional scholars out there, I realize there are key differences here. I wrote a book about that. So, but it basically, says, hey, you can't make a law about something that's in practice now and say, oh, by the way, that's illegal. You're all going to jail, after the fact. Now, there's important distinctions here, but still, it kind of smells a little bit like that.
Unbelievable. I really didn't think we'd get to this point, and now we have. So, Tom, how can you be legal, or how can you make if you've got a pistol brace? What are the simple and easy steps to being legal?
Oh, this is great. And for all of you listening on the podcast version, there is a giant, and what's the biggest word you can think of, like for epic, like cosmic, universal? Imagine air quotes that big for everything we're about to say. So the first thing you can do, which is the recommended, I'm sure by the ATF solution, you can send the entire firearm into them, and they will gladly accept it. You won't get paid, but you can send it to the ATF. You can destroy the entire firearm, your AR pistol with its brace. You can, number 3, you can take the barrel off and put a 16-inch barrel on there and destroy the other barrel. You can't keep that, because then, if it's in your possession, you have what they call constructive possession of conceivably another AR pistol, right? If you put that other barrel back on. 4, you can register it with the ATF as a short-barreled rifle. That's your $200, fingerprints, photo, a year of all your paperwork sitting on somebody's desk in Washington, D.C. Or number 5, you can dispose, like completely out of your possession, out of your ownership, out of your control, the brace itself, and make sure that the buffer assembly can't accept a brace. It's just a standard tube or whatever. So now, people need to be really careful about this, because the The head of the ATF has no idea what he's talking about. He had trouble defining a pistol and a rifle when he was, in congressional testimony. He said, "Oh, you just have to take it off." That is an absolute lie. That's not what it says in writing. So that defense will not fly. You have to destroy it, destroy the gun, send it in, register it, one of those things. So take whatever cynical position you want. At minimum, we're looking at a de facto gun registry for somewhere between 5 and 40 million firearms. Because that's how many braces there are floating around the United States right now. Somewhere between 5 and 40 million. No one really knows. So,
and I would assume that many of our friends say NRA, first of all, they're going to try and go after this in court, or where does that stand?
Okay, so another important stuff here, and what we're doing, we're not lawyers. We're, offering some suggestions for you to consider and research on your own. Don't take anybody's word for it. That will not keep you out of jail and spare your legal fees. So, and saying the Second Amendment is my permit will also not keep you out of jail. You're right, but it won't keep you out of jail. So with all that said, there are some injunctions going on. The Gun Owners of America and Firearms Policy Coalition and Second Amendment Foundation have got some legal activity going in Texas where they've gotten an injunction on this. Say, hey, hold the brakes, put a pause on this thing for now. This isn't right, and we're going to challenge it. So they can't enforce this right away. It's literally changing by the hour. As of today, what that means is, in theory, don't hold me to this because it may not keep you out of court. If you were a member of one of those organizations, you have standing, right? So that injunction, in theory, applies to you. That apparently was a clarification by the judge involved today. If you join today, after technically being illegal, I have no idea if you're protected by that scenario or not. So no one knows, right? Assume that you are not covered. That's the safe bet, right?
Yeah.
So Tom, on that injunction, is it only in that circuit court, that federal circuit, or does it apply to any member anywhere?
It sounds like, and I'm going to qualify this a lot, it sounds like if you are a member of one of the organizations involved in the lawsuit, it applies outside of Texas because those organizations now it is in Texas. So like state employees and all that are part of it because I think the state of Texas actually is participating in this suit. So my understanding is exactly what you just said, is that if you are, maybe were at the time this all went down, a member of one of those organizations, you might be covered by this injunction.
Okay.
But
Crazy.
Stay tuned because it's changing literally by the hour. So,
well, I would say first and foremost, don't take a pistol brace out in public. Don't go to the range and don't post anything on YouTube. If you do, you're stupid. So that's my editorial comment.
That's an excellent point because they are dying to find some Second Amendment martyrs over this issue and drag them through the whole convoluted process. And trust me, none of us have the legal resources of the federal government. They can throw lawyers at you for the next 20 years and you'll be bankrupt and dead by the time you start to pay that bill off, right?
And unfortunately, the process will very much be the punishment.
Right.
Good point.
So here's another little thing. I'm sorry. It just popped into my head. It's an important point. This document that describes this whole thing is like 293 pages long. It's just insane. And nowhere does it actually really define what it is and what's good and bad. There are some examples here and there of ones that are bad, but you know what's not there? Any examples of any that are approved.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the ATF is saying, well, we'll know when it's bad and we'll tell you. Yeah, and you'll find out when you're in court fighting us on it. So there is no safe harbor here with any configuration.
I cannot imagine being a BATF agent and this coming down and your boss coming to you and saying, we're going to make John Q. Second Amendment an example here. We're going to go get his stuff. They got to be like, are you kidding me? So they're being thrown right into the middle of a blender full of dog doo-doo.
Yeah.
And I'm sure many of them don't want to be part of it, but they don't have a choice because otherwise then they don't have a job. So what a train wreck. And frankly, it's simply political grandstanding because to my knowledge, there's never been a proven incident where a pistol brace was used in the commission of a homicide or mass shooting. So I'm sure there's somewhere out there.
There was one or two. One of the crazies used something like that. But again, it's really there's 40 million of these floating around. And does it really make a difference? Do criminals intent on making a smaller rifle really not have access to a hacksaw? Really?
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
Yep. So, guys, in the time remaining, let's talk about ways to dispose of any firearm parts you want to get rid of. So, for instance, I've now got several new door stops in my house.
Yeah, but see, now you have constructive possession. So
of a door stop?
Yeah. Eric, let's turn them in. There's probably going to put up a bounty, reward.
Oh, I can imagine at least somebody would want to report.
I'm quite sure somebody would, but
yes.
Boat anchors, right? Door stops and boat anchors.
Exactly.
As long as it's a doorstop in somebody else's house.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any braces, so I was just trying to come up with some constructive ways to get rid of firearms parts that you don't want around your house. But what a mess. I remember I was down in Florida one time at a gun store, and we just happened to be talking some onerous gun laws were being threatened in Congress after something had happened. And I remember a guy standing there, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to have a terrible boat accident." I said, "What are you talking about?" Mm-hmm. I'd take all my guns out on the bay, and, sometimes that boat just flips right over, and I couldn't even tell you where it happened. Like, when did this happen? He goes, "It hadn't yet."
It's going to.
Okay.
Right?
Well, there's plenty of memes about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we should. There's and I wish I could credit who recommended this. As just in all the confusion, no one really knows the right strategy to take if you do own a pistol brace today and are a felon today. One of the suggestions from a credible source, and I wish I could remember who it was, said sell or gift it to someone, a friend or someone who lives not in your home, but absolute sale or gift, not yours anymore. It is not in your home. It is in their home. If you can't go get it. Right. And so it's at least not in your possession. If you're concerned about the uncertainty, the odds of you being one of the Second Amendment martyrs are probably really, really low. But, that is an option to consider without sending your guns to the ATF for destruction. So probably.
Well, that's pretty nice. Is that why you offered to sell me one 2 days ago, Tom? Wow.
You just going to ship
bargain basement prices.
Where's the love, man?
Where is the love?
Wow. Well, guys, I'm trying to find something funny here to joke about. There's nothing to joke about. This is freaking awful. This is some of the worst gun policy, giant flapping air quotes, because it holds the weight of a major law that they knew would never get past Congress. And here we are. So
one question I do have just real quick.
Yeah.
Didn't the Supreme Court recently come down on another federal entity on regulatory decision-making outside of legislative purview? Is that going to be the possible appellate route? If I heard that recent decision correctly, is that going to be the possible appellate route on this? That the Supremes have just come down and said that agencies of the executive branch cannot do the rulemaking.
Yeah.
I suspect you're right on that. It'll also probably take years.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part.
So we're going to be in this land of chaos, for, whichever comes first, maybe a change in power on the political party front in 2024, possible, who knows, or dragging it through the courts for however long that takes.
Now, gentlemen, we've got to have a sidebar here because it always makes me smile. When you say the Supremes, all I can picture is Clarence Thomas doing the Mr. Postman, wait. I mean, really?
Ain't no mountain high enough for the Supremes, you know?
That is right. So, okay.
You know, this is one of those come see about me issues, you know, for the Supremes. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, maybe nobody else finds that amusing, but it just makes me laugh every time I hear it. So we got to have some kind of frivolity here, right? Because this is just a grim, dark, ugly overreach destruction of our rights. And come on, guys, something funny.
You know what? For everybody watching and listening, if you're really hacked off about this, pick up the phone today. Call Steve Scalise in Washington. Say, get this vote going now. Now, you know.
Yeah.
That'll send a message. Don't send an email. They get thrown away. Call.
Yeah.
Ring the phones off the hook and voice your displeasure. And the real displeasure, here's the real thing that concerns me the most, and one of you guys touched on this a few minutes ago, is if you don't care about pistol braces, this should still scare you to death. Mm-hmm. Because take this concept and say you're, you know, Joe Biden or whoever wants to rule with the stroke of a pen. You just demonstrated and proved that you can do that if this skates through. Because in the gun world, the very next thing, I guarantee it, is semi-automatic firearms of any type. You know, they'll cascade through those. Magazine capacity, that's going to be a rule. You know, and then, you know, outside of the gun world, who knows where that goes, right?
Yeah. And I think that's a really important point. Really, the goal of this is not to get pistol braces. I mean, we were kind of complaining about that earlier, that it's not going to solve crime. I don't think that's the goal. No. The goal is to see if it works. Yes. And the next step will be AR-15s or semi-automatics or whatever. So Pick up the phone, like Tom said, and raise some hell, people.
Yes.
Well, okay.
What he said.
Well, guys, any follow-ups? I know Eric's got to get back and slave away over a hot range and enjoy those sounds of freedom where they can still go out and shoot and enjoy the fruits of the Second Amendment. But anything else?
Well,
thanks for the assist there, guys. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. I'll add one more thing. This has not really been the normal fun gun cranks, but this is a big deal. This is why we kind of put together a quick emergency action alert, so to speak. Forward this, share this. There's lots of places you can find all the details you want on this issue. Look it up, you know.
Yep.
Spread it far and wide.
Well, thank you very much for being our subject matter expert, because frankly, I've not done that much reading. You obviously have, and Eric's pretty well versed on it too. So I appreciate that, guys. And normally we tell you to go out and check out gunsmagazine.com, americancop.com, americanhandgunner.com. Please do that. But as Tom said, your action item today is share this with somebody, talk to your friends, make phone calls. This is time to get active. This is a big deal. So. Well, on behalf of Tom McHale and Eric Gelhaus, I am Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, and we will see you next week on the Gun Cranks. And I think next week is the Bigfoot episode. You don't want to miss that one. It's going to be something. We'll get back to the fun and frivolity, but for now,
he's been spotted at gun site, so we'll have to see.
Exactly. So, on behalf of the guys, I am Brent Wheat, and this is the Gun Cranks, and we will see you next week.